Ready, Jason? I want to welcome everybody. It's 6:01 to the November 19th, 2019 meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I need a motion for approval of the agenda at this time.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. It's our pleasure tonight to have Reverend John Haney, chaplain for the Jones County Sheriff's Department, is going to do an invocation and pledge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May I have a moment of personal privilege?
Sure.
First of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to redeem myself from an October meeting that I failed to show up for. Sharon contacted me while I was driving, and when I stopped, I failed to put it on my calendar. And that evening, I sat down in my chair at 2 minutes after 6 to watch the news, and I said to my wife, I said, "Heaven help me, I've forgotten a meeting tonight." And second, I want to thank you for your service to our community and to Jones County. I'm grateful to be back here and to be a part of a wonderful place to live. Thank you for providing that for us. And third, serving in politics, I know, has to be much like serving as a minister. You can't please everybody. And fourth, thank you for continuing to allow an open prayer to be said, because I'm certain that the task is bigger than you are. And as Abraham Lincoln said, there have been many times I've been driven to my knees, and I hope the same is for you. So having said that, let us pray. Gracious God, we come to you on behalf of our county commissioners, praying for your leadership and your guidance. We know that the task before them is bigger than they are, and therefore, O God, they need someone bigger than they are to help them to do their work. In this season of Thanksgiving, we're grateful for a safe community, and we're grateful for our law enforcement community, our fire and rescue community that keep us safe and are there for us when there is a need. We're grateful for our schools and dedicated teachers. We're grateful for our resources for our children and youth. We're grateful for the churches of this community and how they work together to make it a better community. We're grateful for all the volunteers who seek to make our community a better place in which to live. We pray, O God, that you will help our commissioners make tough decisions. We pray that you'll help them to be good stewards of the resources through the tax dollars that they have been provided. Lord, for some it's easy to spend somebody else's money, and for others it's a difficult task to spend somebody else's money. Again, dear Father, we're grateful for all of our county workers and for what they do to this community to make it a better place. So, gracious God, make us grateful in this season of Thanksgiving for one another and for our community. May you bless these commissioners as they meet this evening in the name of the one who is the giver of all good gifts. In Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. We've got a little something for you. Something you can add to your We move forward tonight. We'll go to consent agenda approval for minutes. We've got 3 items tonight. It's work session November 5th, 2019. We've got our first Tuesday, November 5th, and also the executive session that same night, November 5th. The board had opportunity to review the minutes, and if so, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? None. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. New business tonight. We talked about this earlier about using up funds because we've got them, but I've got on there approval to go out for bid for the purchase of a roll-off truck for Public Works. You remember in our SPLOST discussion, John Lowe came to us in need of another truck. John, you want to come forward and tell them what you have come up with in your funding? And
Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, I got the guy from Next Trend. This is a state contract. It's just a regular roll-off truck. And the price on it without The extended warranty is $167,048. With the extended warranty, which has about, I don't know, $6,600, it comes out to be $173,648. And the other truck that we supposed to be getting, it was around like $240, but you know, it's got the loader on it and the dump bed on it. So I come to y'all tonight to see if we can get this truck, because we really need it real bad.
I can
'Cause our
back,
trucks are old.
which one is 231 that I see all the time? That's the Volvo? I'm getting to recognize the numbers on these roads every time I turn around.
321.
321,
Yeah,
that's the Volvo.
yeah.
8,000 one week, another month it was 4,000. And that ain't, don't, you got another number, I reckon. There's a couple numbers, and after, when I researched them, they were all trash trucks. They were all roll-offs.
Yeah.
And, you know, he had the request in the SPLOST, but he's, talking with Levita, there's funds left. We need to make sure that are utilized, and, having two new trucks would complement each other, and I guess you'd go through and pick out one spare or two spares and have a sale on the others. What's your
Right.
thoughts on that?
Huh?
What's your thoughts, keeping one spare or?
I think we need to keep the Freightliner, because the motor's been rebuilt in it, and that Volvo, like you said, that thing is old. Got a lot of miles on them, and I was thinking about keeping it in the old Mac,
That's the best one you got.
because it's out there running right now. Because Russell's truck's in the shop, been in there for over a week, waiting on parts.
I'm not picking at you. Who does the tires? Us or somebody else?
We do.
All right. They might want, whoever's driving the Mac right now has got a rough ride. Front tires are. I shouldn't have picked it right there, but I was sawing it down the road. I said somebody didn't line them front tires up when he put them on those old Daytons.
Hey,
I agree with you on the old Mac. They just keep on going. But
I mean, that's been a awesome truck. It's dependable. It's slow, but it's dependable.
it's cheap to work on.
It's like a
Yep.
heavy duty Chevy, right?
Yeah.
Thoughts or comments? Questions?
Quick one.
Okay.
So we bought one already. Is that 240,000?
Right.
That's the grapple truck with
That's the grapple with the dump bed on it.
Ah, gotcha. So that's different utilization or purpose than this roll-off, right?
That's right.
What are we using this roll-off for?
It'll be hauling off the trash compactors and the metal cans that
Right.
we got at the centers.
So this replaces the one that was in the accident a while back, or is this in addition to that one?
Well, we still got the one that was in the accident. You know, it was in the auction last year or year before, whenever it was.
Well, last year, and it didn't know so, but
So we never replaced that truck?
No,
no, it's been sitting. It's been sitting
it's
on
been
the yard.
sitting.
It's got it's got compression issues now where the
Yeah.
engine's got no cat in it.
So have we still been renting or leasing or using somebody else's service?
No, we've been using ours, but when two trucks is down,
Right.
we ain't got but two running.
I
I mean,
got you.
right now we got three running.
Okay, I just remember we paid a whole bunch of money to rent, lease, borrow, use somebody's truck. Okay. Thank you.
Well, the one that we've been waiting on, which I guess we got any details on this delivery?
They still talking about the middle of December.
Okay. That one right there will basically be able to do 3-to-1 of the other trucks. This truck is just basically giving us, basically you have two trucks at comparable age that we can do our trash with and with a backup, or two backup, the old Mac, get
Yeah.
rid of the two Volvo.
Well, the Freightliner.
You're gonna keep the Freightliner and the Mac, get rid of the two Volvo. That's at 321 inch.
321 and 338.
Whatever two, I can come and turn around.
The Freightliner's 326 and the Peterbilt, well, we'll keep the Peterbilt too.
Right.
It's, a 207.
Right.
It's 328
Yeah,
is the
so-
number on it.
I don't see that number. I know there's some numbers every time. I can recognize them when they keep coming across the desk. Not again. Any other questions? I entertain a motion.
Coming out of Splosh.
Come on, Flossie. Would you tell them what you've got available?
We got available 304, 548.20.
Don't say that too loud.
Well, you also need to let them know that you've got a mini excavator coming
Yeah,
out.
that's something's gonna be coming out. And between the truck and the excavator, you're probably looking at 245, so that leaves about 58,000 will still be in there.
What size, well, we go ahead and vote on this and I can ask the question.
Right.
So moved, Chairman.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All aye, no opposed? All aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, what size of the mini X did you talking about? Did you
It's the
have a-
mid-size, it weighs about 11,000 pounds. About a 40 horse, somewhere along in there, that's what it is.
Cause I bought one last year. Oh, I didn't buy it.
Well, it ain't for me,
Yeah,
it's for the water department.
You get to use it, though.
yeah.
Well, you got they got an excavator that you got. I'm speaking, I mean.
No, they had an excavator that we got.
That's right, they've got an excavator you got.
Yeah.
So they're gonna, like I said, y'all can share.
I hope later on we can get,
Sure.
Public Works can get one.
Right.
I mean, if I get one, I'm gonna get one bigger.
You can get that off of state contract too, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Just to clarify. At the price that's been, all these prices you've been getting off state contracts.
That's right, either that source well. Yeah.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry? Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, that was the motion, wasn't it, to purchase it under the state contract?
Yeah.
At the price, okay.
All right, number 2 on is approval to bid out our auto parts. As we all know, Jackson Brothers has retired, and they've been a long-time supplier of our county auto parts. Had a few calls from our local vendors that would like an opportunity to possibly quote our auto parts for the county. I would surely think with all the vehicles we've got, we go well above our bid amount for auto parts. I like the idea too, as I talk with them, they'll literally deliver to us, when we need it. We don't have to inventory anything, which is a great savings for the county. I can't tell you my own experience in the past, of inventorying something to go up there, maybe have a filter inventory that's been sitting there quite some time, and pick it up and the moisture's got it and you got rust, so that's what it hits the trash, you can no longer use it. Just the fact that we don't have to inventory and whoever we go with, they can give us a bid on our parts plus the services they're willing to deliver as far as delivery or whatnot, and even the guarantee to have what we need. Any questions?
I think that's a great idea on the inventory controls too, because, just like if you take your personal car to the same service provider, you call them up and say, I need the records on my car, you can call and get the records on what products they've sold to us. I think it's a good idea.
And when we say county, we're talking all of our vehicles, including sheriff vehicles, or is
I
he
would
separate?
think everything comes across our sheriff. We also pay sheriff's auto parts also. So
Right, because I know he sometimes deals with the dealer directly, so that's why I asked the question.
I think we do sheriff's too.
Okay.
I know we do because I've seen them come across the desk through Jackson Brothers. But,
Okay.
they asked for an opportunity, and I think it'd be a great opportunity for us to continue on with our purchasing policy and at least put this out, get the quote for, and I guess, John, you probably got an extensive list of filters that you use. And obviously, we're not gonna be able to get every single part that we ever use, but I think if we can get a list of numbers and let the candidates come to us with proposals and services they can supply and give us an idea to look at it and see who would best fit the need.
Some of these that I've seen bid out, they'll rather than ask for a price on each individual part, they'll have vendors submit what percentage below the list price they'll sell it to you for. So 20% below list, or 33%, or 17, or whatever. Would that be okay to bid it out that way, or?
Yeah, if he's got what I've done is if he's got a list that he knows he's gonna get, like this type filter, or this type oil, this type whatever, list those out, and then say any part's not on the list, what is the percentage below market value, below your
Okay.
retail value?
Okay.
Any other questions?
Motion to go out and bid on auto parts, Chairman.
Second.
We have a second. No more discussion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
No opposed? All right, thank you. Number 3, a new business night. Declare surplus property, authorize auction. Mr. Resner?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, you've got a list in your binder there that includes the 3 sheriff's vehicles out front and some various office furniture and that type of thing that we have in storage out back. We previously circulated a list of all those things many months ago, and it's just sort of taking up space back there right now. So, if we want to get rid of those 2 Volvos, if y'all want to add that, go ahead and add them to this list.
down there too.
I would reach out to, I would love to see us reach out to all the departments that might have equipment sitting there. Matt, have you got anything that collecting dust? None? At least we can reach out and see if anybody else has anything in surplus that. Oh, you need some?
Matt said he wants to pick through it before he.
So you want to pick through it before we get rid of it?
First dibs on it, right, Matt?
John, what else do you have? You said you've got another truck.
Yeah, the one that the pothole patching crew had.
Okay. Do you know what it is roughly?
It's F-350 dually, and it pulled the trailer around and had a little smooth drum roll on it.
Okay.
You know, that's the truck that we ordered.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay. So if y'all want to go ahead and approve this list plus the 2 Volvos and the dually and the furniture, we can go ahead and get the process moving on those.
So moved.
Have a motion, we have a second? Second? All right, no more discussion, all in favor, aye? Aye. Ayes have it. All right, as we move on to number 4, is I-14 support resolution. Mr. Resner, you've done some work on this, and so we had a young man here that was very passionate about what he was presenting to us. I asked Miss Susan if she had any idea, had ever heard of it, and she hadn't. Miss Susan Holmes, I talked with her.
That's not true, she read about it in the Sunshine News.
I'm sorry?
I said, that's not true, she told us she read about it in the Jones County News.
Well, yeah. She had read about it in the Jones County News, but that was the extent of her knowledge of it. Okay, that, to correct my, yeah, it was nice. She complimented Jones County News. She had heard about it.
But you have in your binder there just a fairly generic resolution of support that is the template that they've used in other places, and they said if you're at all uncomfortable with the language there, you know, they're certainly open to any type of expression of support that the board might be willing to give. So,
And this is pretty clear. It's only along Fall Line 57, right?
yes.
Okay.
Right in front of our industrial park, which I will say,
It's in
sitting on
there
the
somewhere.
Macon Area
Yeah,
Transit
force
board, there's no talk of it. It hasn't had any talk of this. I mean, they go out 30-plus years on projects, and I-14 hasn't come up, so I don't know if it's, I'm gonna ask them next time I put on the board if what their knowledge is of it.
I don't know how long it took for I-20 to come to fruition and some of those things. I suspect, you know, these are things that if they ever happen, it may not happen in our lifetime. I mean,
Jonathan's like,
No.
motion to approve.
Second.
Second, no more discussion, all in favor, aye? Aye. Ayes have it, thank you. AARP.
Yes, sir,
Got
Mr.
that- You got the card yet?
No, I don't have the card yet, but I'm gonna get one day. All right, one day. What it is, I was able to send everybody some information about AARP, and hopefully we could, if everybody's okay with it, I would like us to submit a commitment letter to them, showing our support for becoming an AARP age-friendly community. And once we send the commitment letter, there's an application we need to complete. It's 2 to 3 pages. And once we'll submit that application, we've received that designation, and that only helps out when it comes to Jones County, when it comes to economic development, and kind of showing that we're age-friendly community. So if I don't have any questions, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we send a commitment letter stating that we want to become an age-friendly community through AARP.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second, by one of the AARP members.
I was going to say, you've gotten your card now.
Yeah, I was just looking, 50% of us, you got that card up there.
Commissioner Martin, have you gotten your card yet?
I've been getting the mailers, and I'm not there yet, but, you know.
Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, we go to old business, none, department heads. Who wants to start?
I've been absent for a little bit, so I have a few things to go over. If you'll bear with me. Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. First thing is that time of the year for our auction that we go to down in Moultrie every year, Weeks Farm Auction. Just looking for 2 things this year. One is a tractor. The last tractors the golf course had, both have been surplused out. So currently, in Parks and Recreation, we do not have a tractor that have turf tires or hydraulic fittings on the back of it. So we have some equipment we can't use because we don't have the turf tires and hydraulic fittings. On the tractors we have turf tires, but they don't have the hydraulic application to it. So looking for permission to get that, and then just another Pro Gator, which is a utility style dump bed vehicle. And I want to spend up to $7,000 on the Pro Gator. And I would like to go up to at least $9,500 on the tractor, not to exceed our bid requirements. So if it got above that, we just have to walk away.
Any questions?
Now, I'm sorry, didn't mean to. I know you're not supposed to vote on something that's not on the. So the auction's not till the 11th. If we get permission from you to do so, I'll put it on the agenda for December the 3rd, so I can go on the 11th to purchase.
It's December 11th.
Yes, sir.
I'm asking, I'd like to.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have some people
Attending with
that go with you.
Well, you going with us too?
Think about it. Got some
Any
toys I
questions?
need too.
Any questions, Mr. Goldman? Motion?
No motion.
No,
No motion, okay.
I would just
Okay.
I was just
All
making
right, all right,
sure.
you giving us, that's right.
Kind of had
My bad.
a favor here to
Okay,
go
yeah.
to put on the agenda, so I'll get with
All right,
Shannon and get
I
on the
got you.
agenda. The next thing I'm looking for, again, just to kind of get a consensus to go into the third agenda, is we've been talking about the property at Allen Green and 18, taking over that property so we can take ownership of it. Again, the gentleman reached back out to me today. We've been going back and forth. What he would like to do to try to get this thing finalized is, if we can, and this is kind of a legal question, he would like to make a donation of the property to the county so that he can get a tax credit. And then we would take ownership through that donation from him, and then we would simply pay the appraisal cost and whatever closing costs is involved in doing the paperwork and transfer and all that kind of stuff.
Does that qualify him as a tax credit, given it to the county?
It should.
Okay, I didn't know, not being a nonprofit, I didn't know if it could.
What would be,
I'll check on it.
what would be the purpose of the appraisal, just for the value for
I
him
was
to get
wondering
it?
why.
I guess so he'll know how much of a tax credit he gets.
What's it
Well,
on?
that would be whatever tax value
Right.
based on, about for $1.
That could
Okay.
be based on, I don't think we would need an appraisal.
'Cause
to
it's,
save us some money.
We poured the plat up and it was 1.2 acres. Is that correct, Jason?
That sounds
Right, a little over an acre.
Pretty much wetland, all but there you'd want to put the sign on.
Correct, yes, sir. It's actually designated on the plat green space. And the only thing that's really usable is that one area where we want to put the sign. Everything else is wetland or has a sewer line going through it.
All right, well, we put that on the next agenda also.
All right.
And I'll confirm on
The last thing that we had an issue at the clubhouse. It's not an issue at the clubhouse, but involving the clubhouse. We always have a deputy that's required when we have a party and when people rent the clubhouse through our contract. Well, we've never had this issue until this past weekend. The deputy stayed until the party vacated the premises, which is, was common practice. Well, the lady only paid as a security deposit for the time of her party. Well, the deputy stayed for the duration, which took, for some reason, took him 2 hours to clean up and get out. Well, she didn't pay that much in security fees. So in the way our contract's structured, we don't really have a way to hold her deposit because there's no damage, there's no conflict with their rental. Just that, and our rentals are for the whole day. So what I'm getting at is when we pay the deputies, we pay them based on the time of the party. So when they call and say, I'm just going to use, easy math, they call and say, my party is from 7 to 10. The deputy shows up at 7, and the party is supposed to be over and gone at 10. Well, typically, they're out of there at 10, and they leave. Deputy leaves with them. If they stay later, then they work out an agreement with the deputy, pay them. And I asked Mr. Mostetler how this happened in the past, why this issue has never come before us before. And he said because the renters would always work out something with the deputy to stay another hour or whatever. Well, this time, for whatever reason, it didn't happen that way. So what I'm asking is, with your support, I would like to rewrite the contract to where the renters understand they pay the deputy for the duration that they occupy the premises. Because if the party is 7 to 10, and let's just say there's 100 people there, at 10 o'clock, if the deputy looks at his watch and said, well, I'm done, and he leaves, but there's still 100 people on the premises, then anything can still happen to the premises. And he's gone because his time's expired. Well, that still doesn't take care of our property or look out for our well-being. So,
Now, why don't you send me the contract, let me tweak some language, and then we'll present it back to the board.
okay. And in the meantime, with us not being able to hold these people's deposit, I would like to talk to you about a way to compensate this deputy for his duties that he served.
Well, we didn't hold the deposit.
No, because the way our contract's written, they didn't violate anything in that contract that would warrant for us to hold the deposit.
Is there a
They
specific?
were outside of their time of rental.
No, sir. Because
They-
the way, again, it goes back, this is the contract that was in place before I took it over from building maintenance. But, not making excuses, but when they rent it for the day. The day being 8 o'clock in the morning to midnight. And so they vacated, they were gone by midnight, so they didn't cross into another day that would have caused them to lose their deposit. They didn't damage the property, they cleaned up, they did everything they were supposed to do within the confines of the contract. Just that the deputy stayed longer.
Well, what in writing did you have saying the party was from 4 to 8?
On the contract, it states what time the party is. It does state what time the party is on the contract.
Just a matter of tweaking the contract, to cover overages on law
Correct.
enforcement.
And contractually, it says that they only are required to have a deputy from 4 to 8 or whenever their party
Correct.
hours.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't see how you could, yeah, I can send you another new, that's, because I don't see how you can rent something for a whole day and then say you can only party between 4 and 8. What if they got there at 8 o'clock in the morning, stay till midnight?
The
Well, they're
deputy,
allowed to come and sort of decorate and things like
Correct.
that. And
Right.
then the party hours would be when a deputy would be required.
correct.
But they can come earlier in the day and use the facility to decorate and have caterers set up. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Without any security, nobody there?
That's the practice right now, yes, sir.
And they do that to make sure you don't end up paying a deputy for a whole day. So you only pay him for the time that the party is actually happening.
Right. And most people, you don't generally have 100 people prior to the party, but
Right.
when the party does end, how quick do those 100 people vacate the premises? That's where the overage comes in. Do they hang around the parking lot for 20, 30 more minutes, or do they get in the car and get
All
on?
my contracts say from the time you get on the property to the time you leave the property, you got a deputy there. Because what's the risk of something happening before they start partying as it is
Oh,
when
it's
they're
there. I
partying?
mean, there's-
So, yeah, they need to be, I mean, we're requiring security to protect our assets, so I think anytime they're on there, and most of them, that'll make them set up an hour before the event and clean up an hour after the event. So if it's a 4-hour event, they're paying 6 hours for the deputy there instead of an all-day rental. Saying you can just come hang out for a while and go back.
And so I'll get her the contract, Ms. Brody the contract to look over. But in the immediate issue is how can we compensate the deputy for his works that he served, that he did. And I would like to, see if we could do a check request from contingency funds to pay the deputy for the services he did. Because I'd hate for him to be shorted on services he provided.
That's another legal question because he wasn't working for us.
Well, and technically, I guess he wasn't on the sheriff's department time.
Correct.
He wasn't on our payroll or their payroll.
I don't know about that because his pay comes through us, through the rental.
Okay,
That makes sense?
yes. When was the party?
This past Saturday.
Why don't you let me take a look at the contract and maybe reach out to the renter and see if the additional hours the deputy was there for their party, if they'll agree for that to be deducted from the security deposit.
Okay.
And if not, then it's an issue we can address.
All right.
Y'all fine with that?
All right.
I mean, the deputy stayed there for their benefit, for their
Yeah.
event.
And you're going to be paying the deputy out of that.
Because I want a refund. I can only imagine people wanting a refund for the additional times that the deputy stayed. So I think you are well worth your weight in gold by doing what you're supposed to do.
All right.
That's what I have to do. Send me that. Do you have my email?
I'll get it from Jason.
Tell them
Thank you.
gold and diamond.
Yeah.
Diamonds up to the husband.
Mr. Ritter?
I do have a few things. One, the first two items sort of came from a class I was in today, and I'm heading back to tomorrow. One, I thought maybe sort of as we wrap up this SPLOST process, I'd like to try to put together for all of us a capital improvement plan or program where we sort of lay out all these projects that have been talked about in the SPLOST, maybe the projects in our road list, and maybe take a look at the last year or two of budget requests and try to just get all that committed to paper on one list with some information about whether it's funded or not, and if it's funded, from what source, and that kind of thing, so that we have all of that sort of in one place, and we've got a good working list of projects that the board or the county as an organization is interested in doing. So I'm going to try to start working on that and bring it before you. Another thing that I heard mentioned today was, and it relates to John's situation with the trucks, is developing a vehicle replacement policy where you've got a policy that governs your fleet, and you set out when certain vehicles will be replaced at 200,000 miles or 150,000 miles or whatever that might be. Maybe you have an element that says if repair cost is, 30% of the remaining value of the vehicle, then you replace, or something along those lines, so that you've got a policy that makes it easier to decide, when to replace versus hanging on to what we have. And it also helps you sort of with that long-term capital planning as well. So I'm going to try to put something together on that and bring it before you as well. Wanted to let you know I'm working on a new sort of project tracking spreadsheet kind of thing. Many moons ago, I tried to keep track of it all in an Excel spreadsheet and send it out periodically, and just busy with other things and haven't kept up with that like I should. But I'm working with a new software called Monday.com, and I'm going to send that out to all of you and let you take a look at it and just help me kind of tweak it so that it's useful for you and want it to be useful for our department heads as well. Over at the library, we're sort of tying up just a few loose ends on the renovation project there. one thing that we've kind of been wrestling with over the last couple months is there's a HVAC unit that we didn't replace during the renovation. It's been having some issues, and we've tried several different things to fix it, and engineers and architects and HVAC people have looked at it, and it's tough to try to figure out if it was functioning exactly like it should before we started, or if something happened during the construction, or who knows what really happened there. The unit's not that old, but in talking with the Middle Georgia Regional Library System, they have state library money available that we can use to replace that. So so we're going to go through and bid it out. It's a 10-ton unit, and it won't require any sort of county match or anything like that. But just wanted to let you know that we'll be working through that, and that's really kind of the last loose end that we have over there at the library. One other library-related thing, y'all are probably aware that Miss Appling is retiring from the library board after, I think it's 41 years of service there, and so I thought it might be nice for this board to do something to recognize her maybe at the next meeting. So if that's okay, we'll get something made up.
Sure.
and invite her to attend next time.
On the air conditioner unit, 10 tons, that thing's not but a couple years old. That's the one that was put in right before we were sworn in, got elected.
Sounds about right.
I mean, literally, I would think it'd have some warranty on it if it's not working.
There may be, I'm not sure.
We might want to check into it. I mean, I remember that unit quite well. I mean, it can't be, I mean, I think most of those units carry at least a 5-year warranty on them, so we might want to check on warranty and whatnot.
And it may be that we could take it and use it somewhere else if we needed it.
We could do that too. But I would see what brand it is, and if there's an issue, at least get somebody who services that brand, at least look into it, see if there's any warranty issue on it, because I know compressors are 5 years, and there's a lot of other components. So it was
As best we can tell, it was installed improperly. So,
improperly.
it wasn't elevated enough.
Okay. So it's not a warranty issue, it's an installation issue.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, anything else?
We can always get in touch with an installer. I mean, we have somebody that can give us an affidavit about an improper installation.
I mean, the engineer and the architect have said they think that's what it
Sounds
is.
good
But
to me. If you want me to look into
That's gold.
that. If I need to go
silver,
after
and
him,
diamond
I
right
can. I just wanted to introduce, this is Stacy Webb in the green. She comes to a lot of the meetings, so if y'all are wondering who this lady is when you see her in the audience, she is my right-hand person. She runs my gray office and has worked for me for many years, and I love her to death. So I just wanted to point her out so that if you see somebody in the audience you don't recognize, she runs our gray office and does a great job for us. So
You're welcome.
if you hear me, if you email something and you get something back from Stacy, now you'll have a face with the name.
All right. Anything else?
That's all.
You good? Mr. Robinson? You good? I'm good. You good tonight? No comments? No comments.
We're just over here eating peppermint.
He brings a substantial amount,
I
too.
know.
Commissioner Martin?
Good.
Wow. Mr. Pitts?
I got something. Got two things. Attended an LMIG meeting today, and there's one thing that's on the item about not being able to purchase equipment. So it's been proposed by ACCG and GMA about giving cities and counties the opportunity to either purchase or lease transportation equipment. So I'm hoping in the near future that's something that we'll be able to do. Also be able to save some of our taxpayers some money, being that we can lease equipment and even purchase equipment from LMIG projects with transportation needs. So that's something that was shared today, that was agreed upon about both bodies. And another thing I've been talking to John about is a public service, customer service initiative. Because a lot of times I feel like our residents, they don't understand what Public Works is doing. I've had a few people say, well, they never came out and did anything to my road, or I don't know exactly what's going on. So what I share with John is, once we get a phone call from someone, I will hope that we can respond within 24 to 48 hours, going on site to find out exactly what it is, to meet with the person, and then complete the job, and then have a supervisor sign off on it. And hopefully within the next 3 to 5 business days, then a supervisor would meet with that resident or that citizen and explain to them what we did and why we did it. Because with that, we're being transparent. We're letting them know what we did and why we did, because you know what? We just have the resources to pave your road right now. So what we're going to have to do is put down these 8s, these 6s, and try to grade it to the best of our ability. And they'll know what we did, why we did it. And I think it'll make them feel a little bit at ease, because you know what? They know what we did. Versus we put 8s down, 6s down, we graded the road, but they don't understand that. And even though I have to understand we're not going to please everybody, but what we're doing is being transparent, trying to give them that same customer service that we would expect when we go somewhere else, because it's their tax dollars that are providing the maintenance and upkeep when it comes to roads or any issues that they may have. So what I want to do is to share that with the commissioners to get your thoughts, because I think it's really important, because a lot of times we may get a public works or any other department may get a bad rap. They're not doing anything, da-da-da. Well, you know what? We did something. You just didn't know it, or you just didn't notice it. And I think by us being transparent, communicating with them, I think our citizens understand what's going on and hopefully appreciate the work that Public Works and the other departments are doing. So I throw that out for ideas, suggestions, and hopefully after that we can commit some type of customer service plan when it comes to the different departments to make sure we're meeting their needs and addressing any issues that they may have.
I think communication is the biggest key. Communicating with them, if it's called in, even now, I'll if I get a complaint, I'll address it. Had an issue today with water I asked Jeffrey about, and he was aware of it. And he explained it to me, but I promised that person that I would, myself or someone would get back in touch with them to let them know that we had looked into it, and this one we came, not necessarily go out there and meet with them, but, which I have, and surprised them, couldn't believe I drove out there, but at least call them and say, look, this, you know, I checked into it, this is what we found out, this is what steps we took, and just communicate with them after they call, you know.
Right, and after the job is done, whether it be, I like a visit because I'm sitting down and I'm explaining it to you, because, you know what, I just didn't understand what you were telling me over the phone. But I feel like either a phone call, an email for those that have it, or, like I said, a face-to-face visit. So what it is, it's actually documented. We spoke to Commissioner Kitchens, and I explained to him what we did versus we continue to get phone calls. Well, look, our documentation shows that a supervisor from Public Works or our Water Department spoke with you, explained to you what we did, why we did it, and hopefully with that, you know, it'll help resolve the problem. We're not going to solve everybody's problem because we can't please everybody, but hopefully they'll understand that we are trying to meet their needs to the best of our ability.
Okay, we'll put that on the next agenda so we can get that started.
That's cool. Thank you.
All right.
There's some-
Well, I was just gonna comment that one of the policies that I've used in the past was, however the correspondence came in, you return the correspondence. So if somebody calls into the main office and says, Public Works, I need to talk to the Director of Public Works. Well, if Angie takes a message and gives it to John that so-and-so wants you to look at the road, if John sends somebody out, John takes the initiative to call that person back and say, I sent this guy out, he looked at the road, here's what we found, here's what we done or couldn't do or did do. And I think 90% of people want to know that they're being responded to, they're being communicated with, that you know what their issue is. Some of them know that it's not gonna be fixed today, but the fact that when they call and they don't get a response, and then they call back later and they don't get a response, well then the attitude has changed. I don't get a response, and so I think that's huge. That if some people email, if you get the email, you respond by email. If you get it by text, you get it by text. And for us, I think a lot of us get calls directly. Small community, you know everybody, you're going to get those calls. You can say, well, they need to go through Jason or they need to go through the department head. That's the proper way to do it, but we're going to get those calls. And I've just always made it a policy of mine that if I say, I don't know the answer, I'll get with Jason or I'll get with the department head and have them call you or I'll call you, then we just need to make sure that one of those things happens. So what you don't want is you not calling back and the department head not calling back, because then both of you are guilty of not communicating.
I think that should extend to animal control, the environmental, any group that engages, you know, with the common public. And that helps, that's accountability, and that raises the bar for us. ACCG came up with that campaign years ago, You or Why We're Here, right?
Yep.
So, let's do it.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Kitchen?
Jason, where are we on the road assessments? Are we still working on those? You know, I sent an email and I didn't get a response. I'm just checking. Can I get a call back on that or something?
I know Mr. Wendell was gonna go through and grade all the roads on the priority list. I'm not sure where he is on that. Do you know,
We'll
John?
just get it updated the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. The only other thing I had was the recycling day that we were talking about. I reached out to the computer folks here in Gray. They're willing to work with us, and we're working through that, accepting some computers. We need to work on the policy. I think Tiffany's working on the EPA side of it, of what tires, you know, the requirements we're going to need to take tires, and to make sure that we're taking them from residents. You know, we need some kind of policy there on how many we'll take, what we require, if we're gonna take more than a couple of them, you know, do we require an ID or some kind of identification so that we don't have, because it has happened, people in other counties have businesses bring, you know, 5 or 10 tires, and a couple hours later, they bring 5 or 10 tires. But I also thought about if we get it set up for right after the first of the year, you know, it might be a good idea to make it Christmas tree recycling too, and reach out to the people that, because I see a lot of it on social media about people wanting trees for their ponds and fish houses and stuff like that. So might be a good plan to advertise that. People can come pick up just as many Christmas trees as they drop off, as other people drop off.
If, on the tire end, if somebody were to have more tires than we would allow, would it be possible to have a cost per tire above that amount?
What we were thinking about was limit of 5 tires per person, unless you bring an ID. So that we just want, I mean, if a resident has 12 tires, I'm fine with bringing 12 tires. What we don't want is a business bringing 50 tires down here at our cost. I think our intent is to have people dispose of their tires out of the yard if they, A, want to clean up, 2, help the blight problem, and 3, not put them back on the roadside somewhere where we got to pick them up.
You may want to make it a little closer to spring, because if it's January and cold, you're not going to have them in their yard cleaning up.
And we talked about doing it more doing it more than once. My thought was with the Christmas tree, you know, recycling, but they've got a huge one in Macon that they put on. A lot of people take theirs there, so.
That it?
I'm talking about.
All right, I skipped, didn't mean to,
Wait,
but,
Chairman, I got one more thing.
oh, excuse me, I
One
thought
more
you were
thing.
shaking your head, you were through.
I was, but I thought about it.
See,
Somebody on the commission is having a birthday day after tomorrow, and he's already on the AARP plan, so, but I just wanted to wish the chairman an early birthday.
Well, somebody's having one next Thursday too,
No, they're
right?
not.
On Thanksgiving.
No, they're not. It must in January. Seriously.
Well, just remember, I always tell you, but I hope you look this good when you get to be my age.
I don't have nothing to worry about.
I think Commissioner Martin was going to sing "Oh Happy Birthday."
That's why I said the rabbit.
In Spanish.
Any citizens tonight, I skipped over it. Come on, Mr. Mayor, you're always welcome at our meeting.
Always a pleasure, sir. Chair.
Where's your shorts?
Just a quick brief update. We had our meeting last night, and at our SPLOST meeting, start with, the city thought it got blindsided because we didn't talk about SPLOST. Okay? We came prepared to talk. We had percentages, we had figures, and why we needed the money. The commissioners didn't. Want to talk about Water Sewer Authority? That's fine. We got no problem with that. We discussed that last night. The idea of a Water Sewer Authority is still open for discussion, but not before SPLOST talks. Okay, just, AARP, Jonathan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Collins is working on that.
Good.
So
Thank you.
he tried to tell me he didn't get the email, but I said, no.
You know you
I
got
got it, you got it. I'm just saying, that ain't working. And also I just remind the commissioners, next Tuesday night of our meeting at 6 o'clock at Tri-County. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Citizen comment? No one?
I forgot a couple things. Somebody's watching today because they sent me a text and said, hey, you forgot to mention a couple things. One important thing I did forget to mention is to get your permission for December 24th, Christmas employee luncheon. I just want to make sure we go ahead and get that on the calendar and make sure we're all aware that's going to happen December 24th, 11 a.m., 11 to 1. So if people start arriving around 11, we're going to probably have a few games there in the gym, eat lunch, and then dismiss at 1 o'clock like we do every year. So. And then the other two things is just, if you didn't get a chance to see the paper or the news, foot golf was a great hit with the high school inclusive unified class. They came out, brought two other high schools, Rutland out of Macon and Putnam County, had an absolute blast. So that's something that we'll continue to push with other schools to bring them over. So the unified team, it was a huge success. And the last thing is we're also combining with a unified team. We got a grant through the Atlanta Hawks where we're going to do a unified special needs basketball league, which we'll be working. I'm working with the unified teacher, Ms. Leah Bonacek, and so we'll be putting that together. And so thanks for the Atlanta Hawks for giving that grant, and we're going to be doing something with them back here in this gym.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else tonight? Commissioner Pitts, I need a motion to adjourn for executive session for personnel and litigation.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Any discussion on favor, aye?
Aye.
Everybody good? Ayes have it. Thank all y'all.
Matt.